Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is still doing well. Have I got a second half for you? Absolutely horrifying. Before we get into it, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and the membership are in the description below. The merch is displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost you a cent. Click that like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all of these things, they really do help this channel to continue to grow and go. And yes, folks, they definitely matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to tonight's second half, shall we? Today's first subscriber submission. I read through this one beforehand, and it is a doozy. Let's get into it. Hey Jeff, I just finished watching your recent upload pertaining to the missing hunters and others in Virginia. Listening prompted this email. I'm 55 years old and I live in a town in northern Wisconsin. Population, roughly 4,500. Lakes, pines, tourism, vacation homes, and backwoods everywhere. My father built a racetrack and a scrapyard here after 5 years as an infantryman overseas in World War II. Bear with me. It took me a day of inquiry just to be able to figure out how to email you. What I'm about to relate happened over a 40-year period, however, all within 10 miles of each other. Now, the experiences started in 1979 as a 12 or 13-year-old. I used to take beater junked vehicles out into the country from Dad's junkyard to drive without a license. The one I was driving broke down on a lonely rural highway that was roughly 5 miles long, and when I exited that car, I heard this strange noise that I could tell came from a gigantic set of lungs. At first, I was thinking moose because, having grown up in these woods, I knew the snort of a buck and the sound of a bear. This, I could tell, was much larger, and although moose are scarce, they are here. I cautiously walked across this rural road as far as possible, although the road is only 20 feet from ditch to ditch. Oh yeah, as the alternator was dying, I opened the window to listen to the engine sounds, and I could hear crickets and woodland noises that were almost deafening. The moon was full, and as my battery slowly drained, my eyes adjusted, and it was almost like daylight. After the breakdown, but before hearing that sound, I immediately noticed all the sounds had ceased. I started walking the 9 miles back to the city of Tomahawk. From what I recall, it was 10 p.m. to midnight, somewhere along those lines. Right after I heard the strange sounds, my senses heightened and the hair grew wiry. I contemplated getting back into the car, but thought, no way am I staying out here. Plus, I had to devise a way to tow the junker back before my father found out. About a block down the road, I heard the trees shaking. I'm telling you, I was out of my body in terror. I walked on. The sides of the road were somewhat swampy, with large muskeg-like tufts leading to the tree line approximately 20 yards back. As I walked, the tree line crept up to 5 feet off the shoulder of the road. About 2 blocks down, the trees on the right side of the road somewhat exploded, and out walked a creature which I believed was a Bigfoot. My hunter's mind told me not to run, however. My legs had other ideas, so I found myself running as fast as possible. This thing was 8 to 9 feet tall, 500 to 700 pounds, and I could make out every detail right down to its teeth. I said this stretch of road was 5 miles long, but I noticed when I first turned down it that someone had moved an old army concept hut alongside the road. About a mile down after I first turned down it, they had also installed a light or yard light or street light in their front yard, which clearly illuminated parts of this rural road. As I ran, this thing casually strolled along, slightly swinging its arms. I'm guessing, but I'd say after running around 2 miles, I caught a faint glow of that light from that concept home's front yard. The creature followed me the whole time, 20 feet away on the opposite side of the road. My mind was racing as it scrambled scenarios as how I was going to get out of this mess and what it may do to me. There was no smell, and I do not recall an eye shine. After about another mile, or about 3 miles in total, I could see the lights getting closer. It actually terrified me because I thought if it was going to grab me, it was going to do so before I reached the lights. It's weird because looking back, it seems like I was hovering above the scene. When I got about a quarter of a mile from the yard light, I slowed down eventually to a walk. I'm not sure why I did this, but I'm sure it was because I had realized if it was going to snatch me, it probably would have done so by now. I started talking to it, telling it that I was scared. I wouldn't tell anybody and how I just wanted to go home. It responded in Sierra-like responses from Ron Moorhead's camp. Truthfully, even though I didn't understand it, the talk was somewhat soothing or calming. I reached the hut and its yard lights, booked it to the door, and this creature crashed through the woods like a freight train. Fast forward to 1985, I left and joined the Army, and I was away from Tomahawk for 30 years. I've never shared my encounter until guys like you, David Paldies and Steve from How to Hunt, made it acceptable to do so. So, in 2018, I started telling it to mixed reviews, and I stopped once again. I did tell one of my 9 sisters in the fall of 2018, and at a get-together. She walked up to me and said, "Hey, tell Ann your Bigfoot story." To be honest, I was upset. Ann inquired and told me she believes and has an experience of her own. She went on to tell me that around 2014, she had moved from town out to the area where my encounter happened, on Bellevue Road. She went on to say when she first moved out there, the neighbors informed her to keep a close eye on her 12-year-old son. She asked them to elaborate, but they just said there is weird stuff going on out in the woods. After several weeks, she tilled an area for a garden and noticed a very foul smell, which she attributed to the neighbor's sewer. A while later, her son ran up the driveway saying a werewolf had chased him. She told me she dismissed his claim and laughed it off until she spotted what she described as an 8-foot-tall werewolf in the tree line. Weeks later, the howling, doorknob rattling and turning, roof thumping and scratching all started. It left claw marks 10 feet high on the dormer side of the home. When you take a right into the highway of 5 miles, the road going left is another country road, however. That road, Highway E, goes about 20 miles. She went on to tell me that she had a male acquaintance named DC who lived on that road. According to her, DC called her saying something was looking through his windows of a small home he had shared with his dad on Highway E. He told her he was going to kill it. They found DC's wallet and car keys on the counter, his gun, and he had just vanished. That was, I believe, in 2010, and despite many searches involving canines and hundreds of people, not a sign of him was ever found. The authorities even accused the elderly father of foul play. Okay, back up. In the early 80s, roughly 7 miles away, a man, or teenager with the last name of Wilberter went missing. Never been found despite every effort to do so. Authorities also pointed fingers at his brothers for their disappearance. DC had told Anne that this creature looked like a werewolf pertaining to the thing looking through his window. Anne managed to get out of the house on Bellevue Road soon after she realized what she was dealing with. Lastly, in November of 2021, a man named David S., I'm not sure if the spellings are correct, mysteriously disappeared in the same area. My Bigfoot encounter was 3 miles from Bellevue Road, roughly 7 miles from DC's disappearance, 4 miles from Dave S.'s recent disappearance, and 8 to 9 miles from the Wilberters' vanishing. Dave S. was in his 60s, morbidly obese, and drove his truck the 50 feet down his small driveway to grab the mail. This man could barely walk, and there is no way he just packed up and left. All of his personal properties were there. And again, despite searches of the woods and tracking his bank accounts and debit cards, there has been no sign of him or any activity whatsoever. Dave S. had minimal money or resources to just walk away and leave every meager belonging behind. So 3 of these experiences involved the sightings or dealings with cryptid. The last, who knows, although it's been around 40 years in the making. What are the chances or odds that 3 people can vanish without a trace within a 10-mile area? To me, it sounds beyond coincidence. I believe that cryptid are the number 1 explanation for the mysterious disappearances of these people who go missing every year. Thanks, Jeff, for helping me get this off my chest, and also for informing us all and for putting me to sleep nightly. Stay safe and God bless. Well, Pete, I want to thank you for submitting your experience. And I did look into the disappearances of these people. I'm going to do another upload about that. I want to do a little more research into the disappearances. They are real. There's been 3 people that mysteriously vanished within that area. So that's very strange. And for him to see a Bigfoot and everyone else to see Dogman, maybe it was kind of misidentification, but I don't believe so. I believe what he saw was definitely a Sasquatch, and of course, Dogmen do live within the areas of Sasquatch, so it's not too far-fetched to think both cryptids would be in the same locale, especially the deep wooded area of Wisconsin, right? Anyway, let's check out some photos. All right, guys, the next part of the upload is 2 photographs taken from a subscriber. I am going to reach out to them very shortly here and see if they will be willing to come on. I believe it's husband and wife. See if they'd be willing to come on and share their experience or where these photos were taken from. I went through, just recently, I went through all of my emails, and I just want to let everyone know that I have every intent on reaching out to all of you guys who sent me emails to have you on for an interview, if that's what you're willing to do. But nonetheless, these are some very captivating photos, and in my eyes, kind of hard to debunk. The photo that Blue or Shy, the gentleman down in Florida, who is responsible for that Facebook live post, took a photo of a Dogman as well. And to me, these are just as good. You can clearly see the head of A large canine cryptid. All right, so those photos, you can clearly see that there is no kind of pupil, retina, whatever. It is a whitish kind of shine, which only leads me to believe, and I'm no photo expert or analysis or whatever, that would be like a yellow eye shine. To me, that's what it says. I'm leaving it up to you guys. I'm no expert. I'm just sharing pictures that a subscriber sent me. To me, they look very authentic. Like I said prior, they remind me of what my daughter's boyfriend had taken in his backyard, where it's a couple hundred yards from the cemetery where they had their experience with a Dogman. So, let's get into tonight's second subscriber submission. Hey Jeff, my name's Ash. I'm 26 years old. I hunt and I fish. I'm from North Carolina. I would have never thought I'd have a chance to even see, hear, or even interact with one of these creatures. I'll start from the most recent all the way back 2 years ago. Here we go. This deer season, early October, my best friend and I decided to go hunting. Our blind is about 300 yards off the beaten path. As we reached the spot, we jumped 5 deer, pushing them forward to the left. So, we stopped moving and crouched down. About 100 yards directly to my left, I see a hunter. He had a tree branch in his hand, about head height. He was lowering his arm, and then I noticed he was in all black. I took off my blaze orange hat and waved it back at him, thinking that I had just returned a recognizing wave. Then it came to a full stand. There is no way that this was a human. There was no camo, no blaze, just a solid black, almost 10-foot, 4-foot wide creature. I was about to start freaking out, but then I remembered if I panicked, my best friend would panic, and he had no chance of beating me back to the truck. I pointed at it, showing him what I was so worried about. We started back to our spot, and once we crossed the creek, we walked up the creek about 200 yards and set up together instead of separating. We heard a few loud rock against rock knocks. First, they were directly in front of us, probably more than 150 yards, and the best knock was directly behind us and to our left, where we had just come from. It was quiet for 30 minutes or so, and I see the same 5 deer we had spooked walking parallel to us, where we had heard the first knock. Something spooked them, and they took off back the way they had come. I just knew they were gone. Then I heard the knocks to my left again, and here they came back, the deer. There was another knock in front of us, and these deer were going back and forth like they were being cornered. With each lap, these deer made the knocks getting louder or, I guess, closer. This went on for 30 minutes. Until the last lap, they decided to run directly at us. We sat still as they ran past us. That was when I said, we had enough, we need to leave. I've got a picture of a white face from this spot, and I've had little twigs with leaves stuck in my trail cam to block out the camera. The next time, I was about 5 miles from Baker Mountain. I had just bought some hearing aid earmuffs. One night, about 12, I heard this blood-curdling scream sounding identical to the Ohio Grassman audio, long and deep. I couldn't hear it with the naked ears, and as soon as it finished, the coyotes erupted. That was number 2. It happened about September. This next encounter happens over 4 months. I was outside with my dog. Across my yard is a field bordered by heavy oak forest. It was 50 yards across the field to the woods. I heard what sounded like rocks being struck together over and over. About 5 minutes pass and I yell, "Hello." I could hear the rocks being dropped, and it sounded like 2 feet taking off faster than I could imagine, especially in the middle of the night in the pitch black woods. It was like it picked a direction and just bulldozed through. I heard the escape for about 2 minutes until it was too far to hear. That was the beginning of it all. Every winter, the whooper comes to my section of the woods. I first heard it about a quarter mile away, and I tried to do my best to repeat it. I guess I did a pretty good job because I got a reply. We whooped back and forth to each other till he was in the same area where I heard the rocks being struck. I could also hear the steps once he got that close. Whoops would stop at that point, and I'm assuming he was in position to see me. The same thing happened every couple of weeks for about 4 months. My girlfriend and I have been together for a year and a half. She wasn't around for the first years of the whooper, but the past year she was. I told her about it all, and of course, she was very skeptical. She thought I was crazy watching all the YouTube videos I watch until one night this past winter, he returned and I ran and pulled her outside, and we continued our act. He would whoop and I would whoop in return. She even gave a whoop once or twice. And the same as before, he would travel to the same spot where I first heard the rocks being struck, and we both could hear his heavy footsteps. I don't know what has happened, but he hasn't been back this year. My girlfriend is a 100% believer now. We did some research, and I found some audio. I let her listen to it, and she just jaw-dropped. She said, "That's him. Oh my God, that's the same exact." All this was the winter of 2021 to 2022. The hunting encounter was 2022, but as of right now, the winter of 2022 to 2023 hasn't returned. I'm a full believer. I don't know if I was just lucky to have these interactions or if I'm lucky enough to talk about it. I'm always armed, and I will not hesitate to protect what's mine. Anyway, Jeff turned out to be way longer than expected. Keep up the good work. God bless. You're doing the right thing. It's about time we have a few people fighting for the truth. P.S. I'll send a trail cam pic and video. I got in the next email. I got to dig them up. Well, once again, I'm not an expert. Ash, it may seem fun interacting with these creatures until it's not. The whooping back and forth is dangerous. To me, it's almost like as dangerous as gifting these creatures. You're having an interaction. And like you said, I don't know if I'm lucky enough to have heard it or lucky enough to be alive. I'd go with the latter, because we tend to forget that these things are dangerous. Just because they made movies about Harry and the Hendersons, they have stuffed animals, you can get t-shirts and they're all cutesy and this and that. But they're far from cute. I can only imagine how strong they really are. You think about these orangutans or these chimpanzees that are held as pets, and they get mad and they end up ripping the person's head right off. Just imagine what these things could do. So I'm not telling anyone what to do. I'm just giving you guys suggestion. Please. And if you take it, you take it. If you don't, you don't. But I would not interact with these things. And I most certainly wouldn't gift them. If you have an opportunity to video or take a picture, yes. Or record them, audio. But whooping is dangerous, especially when you're getting them to come into you. And I have an experience that I was told by a friend of mine and a researcher who has researched 50 years of his life. And he ended up having to sell his home and move because of interaction with these creatures. So just be careful. They're not humans and they are not friendly. Tonight's final subscriber submission. Really quick, before we get into it, I'm going to try to narrate this as best as I can. When subscribers send me their experiences, I try to go through them all and clean them up as best as I can. On a daily basis, I just want to let everyone know, on a daily basis, I'm recording 3 to 5 hours. I'm researching or editing or talking to people on the phone another 3 to 5 hours. I'm usually in this studio anywhere between 10 to 14 hours a day. And then I have my daughters that I homeschool. So I don't have time to clean up every experience that was sent to me. So if you are going to send an experience, please, it doesn't have to be perfect, but please try to go through it, reread it once on your computer screen or your phone screen. It'll only take an extra 2 to 3 minutes, but that 2 to 3 minutes actually helps me more than you know. And I do appreciate everyone sending me their experiences, but please. All right, let's get into this encounter. I was going to hit pause real quick, but I didn't. All right. Hey, Jeff. My name is AR. My truck assault happened 2 years ago. My husband and I went to Copeland, Texas to buy a piece of land. We thought how strange the lots were, all cleared of trees, bushes, and grass. Across from the lots was an older mobile home full of trees, shrubs, bushes, and tall grass that looked like a piece of wilderness. You could barely see the top of the home, vacant for sure. The back of the home leads to the wild part of Texas. No homes, just nature. I said, wow, I feel weird. I feel as if someone was there. My husband said he felt angry and stressed and picked a little flower from the ground. He is super happy, always smiling, loves to go to work and come home to a movie. A chill guy, never takes things the wrong way. Okay, we leave and go home and get into a huge fight, way out of our league, like throwing stuff, screaming till neighbors come by and he slaps me. They call the cops and arrest him. I don't know what happened, not in his character at all. Confused, a few hours later, he calls and tells me that I need to go back to the lot we saw, and I need to put back that wildflower he had picked me. So I said, okay, not sure why, but if it makes him calm, why not? I take our puppy and went to leave. A neighbor came to check on me and said he had a huge bag of dog food for our puppy, an organic type that tastes like human food. Not sure how he knows that. I thanked him, left. As I drove back, my sister called and said she had just made it to the lot. I said, I'm on my way there, wait. I get to the lot and I put the flower back, apologize to the flower, and set my puppy as my sister is talking about the lot with her husband. They have a silver minivan Honda. I had a huge lifted Dodge Ram blue run up to jump in. We spoke a little more, and she complained that she was being watched by neighbors, how rude, etc. We heard a loud branch being ripped. I said, okay, it's time to go. My sister knows I don't play. I grabbed my puppy. He was shaking badly. I left the door open to the truck this whole time. I did this short jump into the truck, hit the gas pedal, thinking I'm going to break it. I heard my sister's minivan tires ripping through the gravel as they caught up to me. I stopped about a mile away from the railroad tracks. I took my puppy out to pee since I knew he had to. I saw my sister standing on her passenger seat. She had her body out of the sunroof. I walked around toward the back of the truck, driver's side. She is laughing at me, saying, I was scared of the critter in the tree. Sorry about that, guys. She was laughing at me, saying that I was scared of the critter in the tree, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, she stops. I was looking at the puppy, who was shaking by my foot. I was saying, "Go pee." As she screamed, "Get on the truck," I looked up and she looked pale. I grabbed my pup and threw him in the passenger side seat. I was trying to climb in, had to pull back, run, jump in. As I closed the door, I heard the loudest sniffing noise by the passenger side door. I turned the truck on. I feel a huge push from the back passenger side of the truck. I looked at the rearview mirror and saw my sister waving her arms to go, but quiet. No lights, full moon. In shock of what I felt, I thought, was it another car or a train? I then felt the truck get hit hard, lifting the back tire off the ground and slide all the way from facing towards the road to its side facing parallel to the train tracks. I could see my sister to the left of me now. She was in her van. Quiet, her husband looked scared. I just put the truck in drive, jumped the truck off the tracks onto the street going the wrong way. My sister's van honking behind me, flashing lights like maniacs. I drove until we got to the police station in another town. I jumped out of the truck and my sister caught up. She hugged me and started crying. The police officer ran up and said, "Are you okay?" I said, "I'm changing my religion." My brother-in-law explained what happened to the police officer, told the police officer what they saw. The police officers walked up to me and gave me a huge hug, said, "You must have been off of redacted street in Copeland." I smiled peacefully and said, "Did you hear a person disappeared on that street from his mobile home? It's the only abandoned home on that area. You know, the one, that backyard is the woods." I said, "Oh, hell nah. I'm not buying this. I'm not buying anything there, sis." Then again, I checked on my puppy. He jumped to the back seat floorboards and was hiding. I pulled him out and put him on the floor, told him to pee. I then saw the hit on the side of my truck. It was pushed in on the passenger side bed, at least 15 to 16 inches long and 10 inches wide. I screamed, "No, not my truck. Watch my puppy." I'm going back. Cop stops me and tries to reason with me. I told him I'm going to go to my mammy house and get some stuff first. My brother-in-law said a few times, "Look at the inside of your truck," over and over. Finally, I saw a dead squirrel in the bed of the truck, and the 100-pound bag of dog food was gone. I said, "Oh my God, I had a huge bag of dog food back there that the neighbor had given me, at least 100 pounds. I couldn't carry down, especially this lifted beast." I then calmed down, realizing I was 4'11". "Damn it," I screamed. Other cops came over and started asking what was going on. The officer told them why I was upset. They all started saying, "It's okay, you're safe. Now everything is good, blah, blah, blah." As I got a text from my mom, I looked at the police all in their faces and said, "Oh yeah, you all think so. Look at this text." It read, "My dearest daughter, we love you so much, and I and your husband bought that piece of land for you earlier today before you saw it." I felt dizzy. My sister's husband said he also had bought theirs too. It was going to be a surprise for both of us. I started to cry. The next day I went back and a rancher across the street from the tracks was fixing his gate. I asked if he had heard anything the night before. I explained what had happened, and he said, "Look at my gate." I looked at the gate he was installing with his helper. He said, "Not that one, the old one." I saw the old gate was bent in the middle, pushed down as if something pushed on the top of the gate and bent it inwards. I said, "Wow." He said, "Look under the gate." Pinned under the gate was an empty bag of dog food. It was super big bag and custom made blend, not sold in stores. It was the same kind my neighbor gave me. Right then, he said, "You see, I believe you, young lady," and walked away. Alright guys, what an absolute horrifying last upload. Actually, all of them are. And those photos are just truly amazing. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's second half as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you all for supporting this channel. Your support is what makes this channel so special and what continues to make it grow and go. Please, everyone, stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, our pets, our family, and friends. These creatures are real, they are out there, and they are dangerous. Share a little bit of information with the people that we love and care about, and it may just save their life someday. Until next time, God bless you all.